let's talk about how to gatekeep yourself as a beautiful woman, how to protect your power while you're building your power. The first thing you have to do to gatekeep yourself as a beautiful woman, as a woman who's growing herself, who's becoming the best version of yourself, is that you need to become an observer rather than the talker, the oversharer. Maybe you're someone like me. You used to be an oversharer. You wanted everyone and their mom to know everything that you're doing. Every time you make a decision, you have to share it with someone, or it's not really a decision, or you feel like the only way for you to build connection is for you to overshare every little bit of detail about your life and your childhood and everything you've gone through. If you truly want to gatekeep yourself, if you truly want to step into the power that you hold, you have to get very, very comfortable with the uncomfortability of not oversharing. Because it is uncomfortable if you're someone who's used to oversharing. One thing that you usually do if you're someone who's a people pleaser is that you overshare because you feel like that way you kind of preserve the person that you are. Essentially, when you stop oversharing and you start observing instead, then you realize you have the power to step into a version of yourself that you weren't before. But when you do overshare, you actually kind of like cement yourself, or you paint a picture of who you are, the treatment that you're willing to take, and then you know exactly what type of treatment that you set yourself up for getting. That's why it's such a comfort thing for a lot of people to overshare, because they just set themselves up for getting the treatment that they've been getting again and again and again, because now you're telling everyone what your bar is, how low your bar is for the treatment that you accept. And then they have no way of trying to elevate you because they know how little you accept. So they're just only going to give you the bare minimum, and even less than the bare minimum, because you do not ask for more than the bare minimum. You actually ask for less. You're willing to do so much for way, way, way less. That's that's a cushion you cling on to by actually being an oversharer rather than an observer. By being an observer and sitting back in the uncomfortability of actually observing instead of being the one who's talking all the time, being the one who's always coming with inputs, always being the one to make everyone laugh. Maybe you feel like you're the type of person who's always making everyone laugh. If you're the type of person who's always making everyone laugh, then understand that you can make yourself laugh, which means that you don't need everyone else. Might sound a little harsh, but if you actually want to elevate yourself to a point where you are stepping into environments or being around people or in a relationship that actually takes you seriously and that is going to elevate you, you have to become the observer. One thing that I noticed is that a lot of girls have a tendency to overshare with people very, very early in the stages of relationships. What they do is that they, maybe they meet a guy on a dating app or whatever it is they meet them on, and then they have like these long phone calls with them, FaceTime calls, and then they feel like, oh, now they're really connected because they spent 6 hours on the phone every day, and they're talking about kids and they're talking about the future, and they're really spending a lot of time, like they're watching each other fall asleep. Oh my god, I just know we have a connection. And then like a couple weeks later, then they're not even talking anymore. And she's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm always so honest and I'm so real. The reason why you're getting played is because you're too open and you're too honest and you share too much of your life with this person. And that's how they know they got you. They make you emotionally dependent on them, while in reality, if you just were that emotionally vulnerable with yourself and you actually went over these dilemmas with yourself, even ChatGPT, then you wouldn't need to share all of this with some dude on 4 or 5 hour FaceTime calls where you watch each other fall asleep. And this is exactly how you end up being treated in a way you don't want to be treated. And that's how you actually end up giving your energy away instead of actually preserving your energy and building your energy. That is why you have to become an observer rather than a reactor, rather than someone who's always talking and talking and talking. And as someone who's a talker, obviously I'm making these videos, so I'm a talker. It will feel hard, and I'm not saying you shouldn't be talking. You can talk about things that you like to do. What do you like to do? Do you like to go shopping? Do you like to go traveling? What do you like about the world? What do you find amazing about the world? Don't talk about all the problems that you have, because that's going to be an end to how he can manipulate you. That is why it's very, very important that you become an observer, because the more you listen, the more he will reveal. So if you only feed him a little bit, then he's going to try to reveal more of himself in order for you to catch onto that bait. You're not going to go and catch onto that bait. You're going to let him know that you're going to catch onto that bait. We're talking in regards to dating men now, because when you just give a little bit of information, give information that you're not feeling like if he try to use it against you, you would feel bad. Like maybe give like some fake insecurity that you have. And then apart from that, just be an observer. Observe and observe and observe. Listen, listen, listen. Become very, very good at listening. Because if you become very good at listening in the beginning of the talking stage with a guy, for example, you will be set up for being able to pick these men much better apart. And then you will also have a better chance of making sure that you deselect them very early, so you do not end up being emotionally dependent on them, and then you do not end up feeling like you're the one who got the last and the shortest straw. You will have emotional power over yourself, and you're not going to be expending your power. You're not going to go into debt, like self-love debt, because of a man who made you overshare. The second thing you're going to have to get good at doing if you're someone who wants to preserve and gatekeep yourself is you're going to get very, very good at making an effort with yourself. This means you're going to have to start wearing a little bit of makeup. I'm not telling you you have to look like you're from RuPaul's Drag Race. You're going to have to get good at taking care of your hair, taking care of your skin, using lotion, whatever, oils, all of that. You have to get very, very good at taking care of yourself first and foremost in order for you to preserve your own energy, because energy actually is recycled within yourself. And every time you give your energy away instead of recycling into yourself, you're actually not going to build yourself. You're going to make someone else just kind of like use your energy until they don't have it anymore. You're not going to get that energy back. Think about it like this. Your energy is kind of like if you're building or you're growing a bed of flowers. And now every time you grow one flower, everyone's telling you, I don't believe you can grow flowers. And the way that you're trying to tell everyone that you're growing flowers is by you're giving them the flower that you grew, and then now you don't have any flowers left, and people are like, oh, you can never actually grow flowers. Your flower bed is never going to become a whole flower bed filled with flowers if you're constantly giving your flowers away. So you have to get very, very good at proving yourself to yourself, not proving yourself to everyone else, which means that you have to put effort into yourself every single day. This means that you have to get good at getting out of your jammy jams. You have to not wear your Uggs and sweatpants everywhere you want to go. And you have to make sure that your nighttime outfit is not the same as your daytime outfit. And maybe that's a little bit excessive. But essentially, you have to get very, very serious about yourself, because if you get very, very serious about the effort and the energy you put into yourself, you're not going to have energy to put into people that are wasting your time. And you actually become way better at protecting yourself if you actually do put effort into yourself, because then you understand that the effort that you're putting into yourself is not just some little something. It's actually something that takes time. It's something that you devote yourself to. And you are not going to be willing to let go of that quickly. It's something that you've built. It's something that you're honoring. So why should you just like kind of give your energy away? You are literally building yourself up. That's why making an effort with yourself, doing your makeup, doing your hair, making sure that you smell good, look good, all of that, that's actually a superpower, and it's something that gatekeeps you. So it's also something that actually usually repels people that are very low value or low vibrational, because they get triggered when they see someone who puts a lot of energy into themselves. And usually they go very verbal when they do see something who puts a lot of energy into themselves. They might actually tell you, wow, you look like you're like very high maintenance, or you look a little bushy, or this and then that. But then you know that you're not supposed to be around them because they cannot handle that energy. That's jealous energy, or it's intimidated energy, and that person will always try to either replace you, step into your shoes, like do a little switcheroo, or they will try to undermine you, manipulate you, or they will try to over infiltrate your emotional boundaries by sharing all of the things that they won't go through in order for you to help them out. And then that's how you develop a victim complex, and that's how you end up actually becoming like a weaker version of yourself again. And we don't want to have you go through that, which is why when you look really, really nice, when you dress up really, really nice, you actually create a very, very strong visual boundary that people are not going to have an easy time crossing, because they can look at you and then they become verbal, and then you're like, clocked it, I'm not going to be around this person. The next thing you're going to have to get very good at is you're going to have to start seeing men as your employees. If they cannot help your company, your mission, your vision, your goals for yourself grow, then they are actually not worthy of having in your company physically, but also as if you are actually the CEO of your own company. The reason why it's a very, very good idea to start seeing men as employees rather than just, men is that maybe you're someone who usually is very, very over emotional around men. You feel like you get attached too quickly to men, and you feel like you're always the one doing more, and you end up being the one who's literally like cheated. You're like the one who's always ending up with less, and you're always the one giving more in a relationship. When you start being the one who is always saying, okay, you know what can he do for me, what can he do to elevate my brand, my company, me as a CEO, then you start understanding that this man is not something that you need to be extremely emotionally attached to. That doesn't mean that you cannot have a good relationship with him. It doesn't mean that you cannot be kind. You need to be kind to your employees. But some employees, they never actually meet the CEO, but all of the employees, they need to do something in order for them to be able to be in the company, because essentially you're paying them. You're paying them with your energy. You're paying them with your presence. You're paying them with the privilege of being able to help serve you and build your company. A lot of the time, we actually do not see our value that much. We don't understand our own value because we're not willing to see it in a more mechanical, less abstract way. We are always talking about how things are very like fluffy and lovey-dovey, and what about love? What about humans just loving each other? Well, if you're gonna actually get serious about protecting your own energy and gatekeeping your own energy, you might have to start seeing men as employees. And that doesn't mean that they're less than. It doesn't mean that they're someone you have to like kick around or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. Employees can be very, very valuable, and they can be very, very loved and appreciated. You actually have to appreciate your employees in order for them to actually do a good job for the company. That's how it works. That's also why you have to get very good at inspiring men. But when you start seeing men as employees instead of seeing them as like, oh, they're men and we're all equal and we should all be dancing around the fireplace with our little unicorn dresses on and singing and loving each other, then you start understanding why some people are just not worthy of having in your company anymore. Maybe you're the type of person who has like some boyfriend who's just sitting on his flat behind at home and he's just playing video games, and you feel like you're doing everything, and you're like, why is he never taking the trash out? Why is he never doing this? Why is he never doing that? If you were the CEO of the company and he was your employee, you wouldn't be saying, oh, honey, I just wish you would do this and this and that. You would be like, okay, well, if you do not act right, here's a warning, and this is the warning. And okay, well, you didn't take the warning, so I'm going to have to fire you. You know what happens when an employee gets fired? There's no, oh, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have fired you. There's no, oh, you know what, I'm going to give you a second chance because you're saying so much nice stuff. And there's definitely no the CEO apologizing to the employee. No, the employee should have known that they needed to act right. There's no, oh, well, you need to be the one begging and pleading. You need to be the one saying, I'm so sorry. I wish I didn't do this and I wish I didn't do that. We can work on this. We can communicate. No, the employee should have known that that was the last straw. Like, they know what the contract is when they enter into this deal. So they gotta act right. And one thing that I will have to say about this before you all get mad at me for saying this is that you have to treat men like they're your employees, because you get emotionally detached when you think like this, because men have a tendency to treat women like we're the employees. If we do not treat men like they're our employees, then they will treat us like we're their employees. So it's either or, and I know which one you would rather have. Would you rather be the one who's the employee while you're the one who can actually bring life? Your poom poom actually brings life, and you're the one who is working for this man? You're the one who is serving this man, and you're the one who is like literally in emotional debt. You're like in self-love debt because you're afraid what this man is going to do without you, but this man is just sitting on his couch doing nothing. This is why you're literally getting like your power is going to diminish. Your power is going to diminish if you do not start treating men like they're your employees instead of you feeling like you need to be in debt to men. The fourth thing you have to do is that you have to get very, very clear on what it is that you want in your life. Because the most indecisive women are also the most easily manipulated. So if you get very, very clear on what it is that you want, then everything can kind of like go away. You become much more easily discerned. Like, your discernment becomes better, and you actually have a lower tolerance for BS, because If it's not something that is going into your cake, aka like where your life is kind of like baking a pie or a banana cake, if it's not going into your cake, it doesn't make sense for you to worry about it. Think about it like this. If you go into the kitchen and you know that you need bananas and you need flour and you need almond milk or whatever it is you need to put in your banana cake, you do not cuss out the pepper for being in the cupboard, because you know that's not going in your cake, and you know it's not going to make a difference to you if it's going in your cake. You're not going to put it in your cake because it's pepper, but you're not going to cuss it out. You're not going to call your mom about it. You're not going to talk to all your girlfriends about how there was pepper in your cupboard while you were baking a banana cake. People are going to be like, what? Why are you cussing out the pepper? That is exactly how you got to think about all of your goals and your visions and your dreams and everything that you want in your life. Are you treating it like it's the pepper, or are you treating it like, are you baking your banana cake, or are you talking about everything that you don't want like it's the pepper in the cupboard that doesn't even need to go in your cake? What I mean by this is that, are you focused on everything you want, making sure that it happens, moving towards it, even if it doesn't turn good the first time you bake it, maybe you make it again, you do it again, you do it again? Or are you cussing out the pepper in the cupboard? Are you focusing on everything that you don't want? Are you focusing on everything that doesn't belong? When you get very, very focused on what you want in your life, then suddenly everything that you don't want, it's like it becomes second nature to you that you're not focusing on it. And that way you actually get very, very good at not putting your energy towards that, because you're like, why should I put my energy towards something that is not going to be a part of my life? That's actually how the law of attraction works. And that is why if you're a woman who learns to master this, you will also begin seeing such a big change in the way that things are pouring into your life, because suddenly you're actually focusing on what you want instead of focusing on what you don't want. And you're actually being way less manipulated because you know what you want. A lot of the times as women, we become very, very indecisive about what we want because we're afraid we're not going to get anything. So we're like, I'm going to keep all my doors open. I'm going to date within all ranges. I'm going to date broke. I'm going to date rich. I'm going to date whatever, because, I know that I kind of want a rich man, but I'm afraid that I'm not going to get that if I'm not a nice girl. So I'm going to keep all the doors open. Essentially, I'm going to let the pepper get into my pie, because I'm afraid that if I don't include the pepper in my pie, then the pepper is going to get offended. And then I'm a bad person. No, but that's how exactly we get played, because we are afraid that if we do not include everyone and their mom, then we are literally bad people. But think about it like this. Men, if you're not beautiful, if you're not attractive to a certain level, he would not date you. He would not date you. And I know it sounds harsh. Like, he could be like, oh, but you're also beautiful on the inside. But he wouldn't date you if you didn't look a specific way to him that was good for him. Which means that we can also be more picky and more discerning when it comes to things that we want in our lives. Because we should all be focused on brains rather than beauty, and it's what's inside that matters. Yeah, it's what inside that matters when you find out that what's outside is also looking very good. So you can be more picky. You should be more focused on what it is that you want. And the reason why we're usually we don't want to be focused on what we want is because we want to keep our doors open so that we don't disappoint ourselves. The only way you're ever going to disappoint yourself is if you let everything be an option, because that way you're going to end up playing yourself, because you're going to let people that have no business being in your life. They'll be in your life because you let the doors be wide open. You're wondering why you're getting robbed of all of your energy, but your windows and your doors are open. Like, you're never locking them because you're afraid of missing out. You have to be very, very, very good at starting to get instead of FOMO, you need to get happy about getting JOMO, joy of missing out. It's not for you. Okay, well, you know what? You're moving along until it comes into your life. You're not going to just settle because you're afraid you're never going to get it, because that's how you're never going to get it, because you're telling yourself you're never going to get it. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's how women get easily manipulated, because we do not figure out what it is that we want because we're afraid we're not going to get it and disappoint ourselves. And that's how we never get it. And then we're wondering why we're so sad and why we hate our lives. The fifth thing you have to get very, very good at if you want to gatekeep yourself and protect and build your energy. This one might be another unpopular one, but you have to get very, very good at not posting everything that's going on in your life on social media. If you're someone who's used to, every time you get a boyfriend, you share him, and you feel like if he doesn't share you, then you're not really a relationship, and you have to share him, and you have to share everything that you're doing. You have to share every time you go on a trip, and you're sharing everything that you're doing with everyone. This is gonna, if you're someone who's trying to build your power, if you're someone whose power has been very, very low, if you've been someone who's had a victim complex, if you've been someone who's feeling like everyone is against them, it is so important that you literally pull the plug on being online all of the time. And that doesn't mean that you can't post your little cute fit picture. I definitely recommend that you get very, very good at posting like what you love about yourself on social media. Like, ooh, look at me with my matcha, or look at my cute outfit. I'm looking especially feminine, especially hot today. That you have to get very, very good at, but you cannot be out here talking about, oh, this guy did me wrong, or especially one thing that you girls have a tendency to post about is posting about every time that you're single, or like, oh, I really want a man. Like, where's the man that I want? This is setting you up for being energetically harvested. This is setting you up for being energetically harvested. We can talk about this in a whole other video. I could make a full video about this, but you calling out on social media for you wanting a man, like, oh, I really wish I had a man who did this for me. It's like, men are going to be like, oh yeah, I clock it. She's available and she is desperate. So I'm going to slide in her DM, and I'm going to, take her out for like a $3 coffee date that I'm probably going to make her pay for. And then we're going to overshare. We're going to have an overshare story time. And then we're going to do the 4-hour FaceTime calls. And then it's going to be a free ticket to the Poom Poom circus for me. Essentially, what you're telling people on social media when you're posting about everything that you're doing all of the time, or everyone that you're around, or especially if you're someone who posts that you're crying or that you want a man or all of this and all of that, is that you're essentially kind of like saying, this is what I can offer. This is what this model offers. And I know it sounds really, really harsh, but that's what it signals to a lot of desperate people, both men and women that want to harvest your energy. Women can harvest your energy as well. But when you put out like, I wish I had a man, or I wish I had all of these girlfriends to do all of these things with, that's a way for people to kind of like sneak in and like take your energy. I'm sure that you wish you had a man. I'm sure that you wish you had a bunch of girlfriends to go and do this and this and that with. But if you put it out there, then it's going to signal that you're lacking something, and it's going to signal that you're trying to like get a good deal, or like you could live with the bare minimum. Again, the most easily manipulated women are the women that are indecisive. And if you're posting that you do not have a man, and oh, I wish I had a man, and oh, blah 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 blah, or you're not just posting your cute fit pics because you look hot, because that's what you do, then that's going to signal to a man that, ooh, this girl, she's indecisive, she can be fun to play with. And also what social media opens up is that it opens up evil eye. And a lot of people say evil eye doesn't exist. But if you're someone who hasn't yet grown to the point where you're literally like almost at the top of your mountain of self-growth, then you are going to feel that the people that you've been around, or maybe the person that you met in the bathroom one time, or whoever you've been around and you've been a different person around, you're going to feel like they have eyes on you. And if you're someone who's used to being a people pleaser, if you're someone who's used to overcompensating, if you're used to doing this and this and that for everyone, then you are going to be more prone to putting yourself back in the position of the person that you used to be. You're going to start to rewire yourself back to who you used to be for other people, because you're afraid of stepping into who you're supposed to be, because you're afraid what they're going to say about you. It's a survival mechanism that we have as humans. We want to fit in. We want to be a part of the tribe. So what we do is that we assimilate to the person that we think that people are used to seeing us as. It's actually not because we really care about other people. It's because we're actually caring about our perception of other people, which is actually our own perception of ourselves, is like an infinity of what's inside ourselves, but just it's projected in a way that we think is about other people. That's why it's a good idea to sometimes like remove yourself completely from social media for a little while and just like go into yourself, kind of like a Master Yoda type thing. Like go into exile, wait for Luke to arrive, and then you train Luke. No, I'm just kidding, but I'm a nerd, I know that. But you need to go into yourself kind of like Master Yoda style, and like just go into exile, social media exile for a little while. And I can really recommend, if you really want to share your thoughts and whatever on social media, I can really recommend just making a new account, a secret account, whatever. Start posting like you already are the version of yourself you want to be on there, and then you'll turn into that version of yourself. Maybe you'll get a career out of it, which is great. Number 6 of things that you need to do if you want to protect and gatekeep your energy is that you have to look expensive and expensive feminine. This one might be unpopular as well, because a lot of you might say, well, I need to show up as my authentic self, and my authentic self is someone who wears baggy jeans and sneakers and all of this and all of that. But the thing is, I'm here to share with you what you can do if you want to protect yourself and your energy, so that you can elevate yourself to the point where you don't ever have to actually care what anybody thinks again. And when you get to that point, you can wear whatever it is you want to wear. You can do whatever it is you want to do. But if you're still growing yourself, if you're still becoming a better version of yourself, you actually need to have a little bit of a protectant. You need to have some kind of force shield to make sure that you actually have the power and the peace to be able to grow your own power and protect it, so that you can actually mentally step into the version of yourself that can handle that no matter how you look. And one way to step into that is to make yourself look expensive and also make yourself look feminine. The thing about society is that society is very, very visual, and society will push you towards the life that you deserve to have if you look like you already have that life. And that is why I always recommend the girlies that if you want a life where you're better taken care of, especially if you're a neurodivergent girly and you want to have more accommodation in society, one of the best ways that you can get this is for you to focus on your looks and make sure that you look feminine, and not only just feminine, but also expensive. And you might say, I just don't have money to go out and buy this and this and that. I'm not saying you have to go out and like buy yourself Louis Vuitton bags and Cartier jewelry and whatever. No, there's very, very easy ways for you to look more feminine, look more expensive, and just look more like you're used to being in environments that actually elevate you rather than put you down. I can make a whole video about how to dress and look bougie and look expensive on a budget. We can make a whole video about that. Let me know in the comment section if you want to see that video. Think about it like this. 2 women are stepping into a store. One is dressed in like sweatpants that are dirty and shoes that are dirty, and her hair's not done and she's not wearing any makeup. The other girl is dressed in a little cute little tweed skirt with a little handbag, and she has jewelry and her hair's done and she's wearing fake lashes and stuff. You asked anyone in that store who is the most feminine and who is the most in need of someone protecting them. Sadly, but surely enough, people might say the girl who is dressed the most feminine, because she looks like, ooh, she wouldn't be able to handle the dirt. And then people will actually give her better treatment. A lot of people might say that, oh, if you want to get better treatment from society, why shouldn't I make myself look like I have been through a lot and things are hard for me? Well, people care about their own self-interest, which means that they will only be around people that cater to their own self-interest, which means that if you're a beautiful woman, you need to use your beauty to be able to push towards the life that you want. People will only help a charity case so much, and if you make yourself look like everything has been hard for you and, you know, like you don't do yourself up because you're thinking that people are gonna make you like take care of you. Yeah, maybe some people will take care of you for a little while and they will sympathize with you for a little while. But in the long run, you're not really going to get anything out of that, because they're always going to go towards the person that looks like they already got themselves together and that people pour into them. People are going to pour into the person that looks like people already pour into them. That is why the very, you know, pretty girls always get treated very good, technically. Because they always pour it into themselves, they pour into their makeup, they pour into the way they look, which means that people are going to be willing to pour into them. So looking like a charity case is not going to do it for you. You have to look rich, you have to look feminine, because people are also going to think if you look feminine, that means that you're more dainty. That means that you are going to be someone who's not going to be able to handle all of the big things, which means that you're going to be able to protect your energy better, because people are not going to put you in situations where you have to handle more. They're going to make you handle things that are handleable. Like they're going to make you take care of things that are way more nurturing and way more like down to earth, that are not hard physical labor. And that is going to make you way more at ease in your life, which means that you can focus way more on your own work. You can focus on building yourself up and making yourself a better version of yourself. If you have long nails and you're like, oh, I don't want to break a nail, maybe they're not going to make you go and drag the whole laundry down to the laundromat. And that's going to preserve your energy so that you have more energy to put into yourself, okay? Looking feminine actually is something that protects you. Because believe it or not, the masculine is attracted to feminine and they want to preserve the feminine because it's a rarity. So they're going to be more willing to protect you and leave you out of the big stuff. The 7th thing you're going to have to get good at is very related to the one before. When you look feminine and when you look bougie and when you look, you know, you look like you put oil on your body when you step out of the shower, and you know, like, wow, okay, your hands are like soft because you're not doing any crazy manual labor or anything. Then one thing that's also going to protect you a little more is that if you start playing a little dumb, because society doesn't think that a woman can be both smart and beautiful. Understand this. Most people in society don't understand that a woman can be both smart and beautiful, especially people that you're not supposed to be hanging around. And I'm telling this to all of you girls out there, especially all of you neurodivergent girlies, because a lot of the times you'll be fighting with your claws in the comment section about how you need to be able to be yourself, and you need to be able to show how intelligent you are, and you shouldn't be around people that won't accept you for your intelligence. No, you shouldn't. But if you want to get to those environments that are going to accept you for your intelligence and for everything that you are, both your beauty and your brains, then you will have to play dumb in the environments that are not able to give you that brain like stimulants, because they're going to see you as a threat if you start being a little too smart, because they can't really fathom that that's something that person can be. And that's going to be like, oh, well, this person is overcompensating. They might not think that you being beautiful and smart is just you being you. They will think that you're overcompensating, or you're trying to like rat someone out, or you're against them. They think you're an enemy just for being beautiful and being smart at the same time. Which is why it's a very, very good idea to learn how to play dumb to stay protected and to stay in your own peace and in your own power. And you might say, I don't want to do that. I don't want to undermine my own intelligence. Oh, you don't have to undermine your own intelligence. You just have to share less, which goes back to the whole, you have to be an observer rather than the one overthinking, over talking. Oh, you can overthink, but you should not be over talking. Because if you act like things are a little, oh, you don't understand everything, and maybe you need help with this, or maybe you need help with that, or maybe you're just like a little ditzy, then people are actually going to give you more of a benefit of a doubt. They're going to be like, oh, she's beautiful, but she doesn't even catch everything that's going on, which means that she's not a threat. And then they're going to let you move in peace. Okay. They're going to let you move in peace. And that's how you get a one up in this society. That's how you protect your energy. That's how you build your energy. That's how you step into a version of yourself that you deserve to be. Because you actually let people believe that you're not as strong as you are, which actually is a strength to you, because you're playing poker. You're playing poker with the world, and if you're revealing all of your cards, they can use that against you. But if you do not reveal how smart you are, and you're kind of like, oh, I don't know how this works, I don't know how this game works, then you can play them all, and then you get everything that you want. And then you also get to have the peace that you need in order for you to be able to move into higher environments, because no one's looking at you. It's kind of like, maneuver to make them look the other way, because they're not going to focus on you. Their eyes are not going to be on you if you are not acting like you ain't got it all going on. But if you act like you got it all going on, like, oh yeah, I know this and this and that, and look at me, I'm so beautiful, then people are going to be like, oh, who's she? They're going to look at every single little move that you make. In reality, when you're out there in the matrix, then sometimes it's just better to let people feel like they're right, and then be able to move on and have peace. My mom always said that you need to have peace, and they need to feel like they're right. You get peace, they get to feel like they're right. And then you know what? You can get them to feel like they're very, very capable, because a lot of the times why people actually attack our energy is because they do not feel capable in our company. So people actually want to be of service to us, especially men. Men want to be of service to us, but a lot of the time what we're doing is that we're saying that men are bad, men are terrible, men are this and this and that. We have conspiracy theories about them, and we're not afraid of like letting them know about these. And we're like out there dolled up in our expensive perfume with our expensive bags, and then we're wondering why they think that we're like so too much. Because we're revealing way too much about ourselves. We're revealing way too much about our plans. Like, as I said before, with the whole, you need to be the CEO and you need to be the employee. You know what? The employee that you are interviewing does not need to know the secret recipe of your grandma that is running the company. Okay? You're not going to share everything with everyone as soon as you meet them, because it's going to make them have a one-up on you. And then they could overthrow your company, and then they could go against you and use the energy that you had for themselves. Okay? If you're just interviewing someone, as I said before, you gotta act like men are your employees. If you're just interviewing someone to be in your life, then yeah, you do not need to reveal everything. Let them think that you're a little ditzy. Leave them wanting more. Leave them thinking, oh, how come this girl is like dolled up like crazy? She's wearing expensive perfume. She's looking good. And she has traveled all of these places, but she didn't reveal all of this.
maybe she's just really, really well taken care of. Maybe her daddy just takes really, really good care of her. And then they're going to want to figure you out more. And then they're going to try to do more for you in order to figure you out. And you're not going to let them figure you out because you're going to be like, I don't know that. Could you help me with this? Oh, I would really, really love it if you could help me with it. And then they get emotionally dependent on you because they feel good in your company. And then you get to preserve your energy because you're not emotionally dependent on them. Okay. Anyways, those were 7 things that you need to do in order to gatekeep and protect your energy. Some of them might be a little unpopular, but you know what? I'm here to be as unpopular as I need to be in order for people that need to hear this message to hear this message. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be swaying all of this out there, and I'm happy to have you guys. Let me know in the comment section if you want any more videos like this, and I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.